Now, just imagine you're in a room with anywhere from 30 to 100 hormonal teenagers your age, and you're playing a game with anonymous chits. What? Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mamta Shastri, not Banerjee, and this is a public service announcement for you to stop doing Model United Nations in high school.
ममता के लिए टेबलेट आ गया है टेबलेट आ गया ममता के लिए
बढ़िया
I know that this is an unpopular opinion and I'm probably gonna get a bunch of really angry teenagers in my DMs and in the comments disliking the video. But guys, this is just my opinion, and if you like it, let's be friends. And if you don't,
get off my back.
also, I'm not just hating on Model United Nations. I can also appreciate the good things that it can do for a kid, like give them lifelong friends, a sense of community, a consistent and challenging extracurricular activity, and multiple skill development, and so much more. But that doesn't mean that I can't talk about the downsides. What is it called? It's called having a nuanced opinion. I've been doing Model United Nations since I want to say 8th or 9th grade. I did win a couple of awards here and there. I even started a club at my old school where I would sort of introduce the younger students to the activity. But then I decided to stop completely. In this video, I want to talk about what drove me to do that and why a lot of people, not just myself, are slowly walking away from Model United Nations, and why you probably should too, if you agree with us. If you didn't already know, Model United Nations is essentially an academic simulation or mock of the actual United Nations. So students role play as delegates from different countries. They sit in a committee and they attempt to solve real world issues from the perspective and policies of their assigned countries. Model UN, or MUN as it's called, was intended to be an extracurricular activity for students to build their public speaking, research and negotiation skills, which it does, but at the cost of a lot of other things. You could argue that this is teaching students true diplomacy and the harsh realities of international relations, but it's defeating what MUN was intended to do. Although MUNs were introduced to the high school scene as a tool for students to harness their abilities, a lot of MUNs end up becoming a power play, a game of who can exert more power over the other, who can yell the loudest, who can sound the most confident, saying the most vile, insensitive stuff come out of a teenager's mouth regarding human rights, women's rights, whatever it may be. I'd like to show you Exhibit A. Tell me all conferences don't look like that. How is this teaching anybody diplomacy? I think there's a misconception that Model UN is speech after speech, constant public speaking. But in reality, a lot of it hinges on lobbying and socializing. If you're a great public speaker, but perhaps you lack interpersonal skills to network with your delegates, you are going to lose to someone more charming and convincing than you are. Now, that inherently isn't a bad thing at all. But what's bad is that the environment that MUN provides is not usually conducive to improve interpersonal skills. The more MUNs you do, the better you will get at everything is not true either, because while practice makes perfect sense in the context of public speaking, you only get better with comfortability, which MUNs just don't provide. So what does that do? That intimidates, scares and pushes pretty capable people away from going to MUN after MUN, because at every MUN they attend, there's another Prince Charming with a boombox voice stealing every opportunity for his or her growth. Listen, I have a personal vendetta against press conferences that are held at every Model United Nations conference. I participated as a member of press a couple of times, and I think that's the only part of Model United Nations that I actually half enjoyed because of the written report work. But the press conferences that are held quizzing student delegates as though they were real heads of state is ridiculous for so many reasons. Number 1, do you really think any of those old white men in power would agree to be pressed about all the questionable things their country has done? Number 2, more times than not, the press conferences usually only focus on the delegate of China or North Korea or those countries where a lot of controversial things can be said. Number 3, they're rarely ever about the agenda or the problem at hand being discussed in the committee. It's always some random incident that happened in 2001. Number 4, the delegates being pressed obviously don't know anything about those incidents, and I think they're being marked on how well they can respond to criticism. But again, number 5, it doesn't add value to the committee's discussions and attempts so far to solve the problem at hand. So what is the point? What is the point of a press conference except to terrorize 3 or 4 delegates in the committee and publicly humiliate them? It's neither realistic or helpful. I don't think this video would be complete without mentioning that MUN is obviously a very rich sport, considering that every conference mandates that you show up in formal clothing, which can run you up some good, and also access to gadgets for research, etc. A lot of the times, and I'm guilty of this too in the past, but if someone shows up wearing jeans, or God forbid they miss the memo on formal clothing entirely, they kind of become the unsaid laughingstock of the whole committee. There's always some kind of a secret side eye towards those delegates, And I think that's because of the way that MUNs are set up. Because of all the restrictions and rules, it allows a privileged group of some to feel a sense of superiority just for being able to participate. And somehow also confers them with the right to be pissed when the rules are broken by an outsider. Okay, this might just be me, but the whole motion to entertain thing has always weirded me out. It genuinely gave me the ick, like I hated it. Motion to entertain is basically a session that's held at the end of every conference, just for the delegates to play some games, to lighten up a little and celebrate all the hard work they've done over the past 3 days. But the problem is these games are usually played with anonymous chits. Now, just imagine you're in a room with anywhere from 30 to 100 hormonal teenagers your age, and you're playing a game with anonymous chits. Anyone can say whatever they want and no one will ever know because there's no accountability there, it's anonymous. For some people, getting hit on, getting complimented, all of that through chits is like an ego boost, but for me it's always been super weird. I made it a point that when I was sharing, I tried not to, let things get too sexual or creepy, because there is a heavy sexual undertone when you're playing these games. But at the end of the day, you're in a room with a bunch of teenagers. What is the most you can do, I hate this aspect of MUN so much. Like, I'm so glad I left. Just to close out the video, I want to give a special shout out to Rohil Deshpande, the TEDx kid who was on YouTube about this like 7 years ago. Well, that's the video. Shout out to my best friend Chewy for helping me script this video. See, I know that you're not going to stop going to Model United Nations just because I made this video, right? But I want to encourage you to be critical about the things you're participating in, because it's not always sunshine and rainbows. If you like this video and you want more videos like this, please like, share and subscribe, and please turn on your post notifications, because I promise I'll be so consistent from now onwards. Like, I swear I won't take a 2-week unexplained break ever again. Hopefully. I love you guys so much. Bye.
What is your view?